Hi, this is Laura Fulcher, and today I'm making another video for Memory Box, this time featuring a product called Twinkling H2O's. For those of you who aren't familiar with Twinkling H2O's, they are metallic watercolor paints that come in petite kits such as this one. This is the Plumberry I'm using today. And if you notice, the petite kits have their own foam base so that you can put the pots in. It holds them nice and steady. You can also buy larger individual pots if you prefer to get them that way instead. A while back I made a video featuring Twinkling H2O's where we stamped with the paints and we put them directly onto rubber stamps. For today's video we're going to be doing painting of our images instead, so you can see you can do a couple different things with your paints. I don't know if you've noticed with regular watercolor paints, but if you ever try to paint directly onto black or another dark color of cardstock, the paint just disappears in the paper and you can't even see any color. It's one of the reasons why I really like my Twinkling H2O's is they do show up on dark papers. And so you might be asking, well, why do you want that? You just get a different finished look than you're going to get if you use a white or a cream paper. And I think as stampers we're always looking for different ways of using our various products. So I already sprayed each of these pots with some water, let the water soak into my paints to get them nice and wet. And I'm going to start with my lightest color of pink. And if you notice the image I'm starting with, it is one of my Memory Box butterflies that I embossed with gold powder. And for my base layer, I'm just going to color all over my image. It's a nice light color so it doesn't cover up my embossing. And I'm using a thin layer of it anyway. It's kind of watered down. So if it were thicker, it might cover up some of my embossing, but because it's a little bit thinner, it doesn't. And I just want to put this base layer down so that I have color all over my butterfly, and so that it has sort of a nice gossamer translucent look to my butterfly. And you can notice by putting this base layer of color down that some of that black paper actually shows through, and so it just gives it an interesting element of my background paper showing through, which would look completely different if it was white paper. So there you go. I have my base layer of color down, and I'm using a water brush. A water brush just has a reservoir of water in it. If you squeeze it, it makes a bunch of water come out, and so I'm not squeezing as I'm painting. I'm just using the water that naturally drips out of it to move my paint around. If I were to squeeze it, it would give me kind of a bloppy mess. So I have my base layer of color down. I don't want to add tons and tons of color to this because my black paper is not watercolor paper. The wetter I get it, the more it's going to bubble on me, and so I just want to add a little bit of color and then stop playing with it. If you keep adding and adding and adding more water, you're going to get results that you're probably not looking for. And although you can squeeze your brush to clean it, I use just a cup of water instead to clean my paintbrush. And I use a paper towel to wipe it off before going to the next color. And now I'm switching to one of these darker purple colors. And one of the things I like about having this foam stand is I sprayed this with water, and some of it's a little goopier than I would like. I want to use a little bit thicker paint. So I'm going to set it into my stand at an angle so that the water all drains to one end and I can pick up my paint from the other. So I'm just going to pick up this darker paint. It's a thicker layer than I originally did, so I am not going to color over my embossing. I'm going to color in the different little sections of my butterfly. And you can tell because my paint is thicker, it's going to have a more metallic quality than that first layer I did that was wetter. The more water you add to your Twinkling H2O's, the less metallic it's going to look. So this thicker layer is going to have quite a bit of shine to it. And I'm just coloring in the outer edges of my butterfly. Next, I'm going to add some of the medium pink color and just add a little bit of shading to my butterfly and finish up with this. And again, remember to clean your brush between colors. The darker colors will take a little more work to get off of there. I'm going to pick up some of this medium pink. You don't want to have too much color on there. And I'm just going to add a little bit towards the outside edges to give it a little bit of variation of color. I didn't mean to color that one there, but that's okay. I'll add a little more of the dark purple to fix that. And I'm just adding a little bit to the edges. And as it dries, you can see whether you have a really distinct line there. If you have a really strong line that says light pink and dark pink, you want to soften that up a little bit. And the way to do that is make sure you have a clean brush, dry it so that it doesn't have a lot of extra water or paint, and then just color the edges with basically what amounts to just a wet brush, and soften your edges there. And then all I did after that was I did the other side of the butterfly and I cut it out. I did the same with a different type of butterfly, cut them out and glued them onto my card. And you can see it just, for those of you who are real familiar with painting onto a white cardstock, it just has a different look to it when you start with something that's black instead of white. This is another card sample I did using the same technique, and as you can tell, I left a lot of the black area plain and just highlighted certain parts of my butterfly wings with the metallic paint. And for both cards, I find that anytime that you're doing metallic paints or something that is nice and shimmery, if you add a layer or two of metallic paper, it really brings out that shimmer just a little bit more. So it's kind of a nice accent to use with your finished pieces. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I look forward to seeing you next time.